Welcome to this travel video, visiting Washington Island, Wisconsin. I'm Jim Osmundson. Washington Island is located about 4 miles beyond the northern tip of the Door County Peninsula, between Lake Michigan and Green Bay, and is roughly 5 by 6 miles in size and shape. My cousin Gary Seelar and I took a day trip to Washington Island on July 15, 2015. We boarded the Ferry Washington at Northport, Wisconsin, the jumping off point for this adventure. The Washington is one of a fleet of 4 car ferries that shuttle between Washington Island and the Door Peninsula. It was built by Peterson Builders in Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin in 1989. It's 100 feet long and can carry up to 21 cars and 150 people. It was named for the flagship of a squadron of 3 U.S. vessels which anchored in the northern island harbor, now Washington Harbor, and later secured a foothold in Green Bay following the War of 1812. This stretch of water is known as Port de Mort Strait, or Death's Door Passage, and gives Door County its name. The first sight we see is Plum Island and the U.S. Coast Guard Lighthouse on its south side. On the north side of the island is the old Coast Guard station. We met one of the other ferry boats, the Robert Noble, heading toward the mainland as we were nearing Detroit Harbor. Detroit Harbor is located on the south side of Washington Island and is sheltered by Detroit Island off to our right as we enter the harbor. Once the ferry was tied up at the dock, we hopped back into Gary's truck and drove ashore. We drove to the very northwest tip of the island to a picnic area near the water and walked out onto a viewpoint atop a steep bluff overlooking the stretch of water known as Rock Island Passage. Looking out across the water, we could see St. Maarten Island, Michigan, the southernmost in a string of islands stretching out from the Garden Peninsula of Michigan's Upper Peninsula. One of the early Europeans to visit these waters was Robert de La Salle aboard the sailing vessel the Griffin. The ship was lost in these waters in 1679. La Salle was not on board when it went down. He and the rest of his men went on to explore the shore of Lake Michigan by canoe. Today the water was very clear and the breeze was cool. From there we drove a short distance south to the Jacobson Museum. It has many artifacts from Washington Island history, one of which was an anchor brought up from the waters near Plum Island, which was recovered by local divers. Another was a horse-drawn ice-cutting saw with a seat on it. There was also the stone wagon used to haul stone on Rock Island, which is to the north of Washington Island. One of the most remarkable items is the rudder from the steamship Louisiana that went aground in 1913 in Washington Harbor, not far from here. Another interesting piece of equipment is a rock crusher that was belt-driven and could have been powered by either a steam or a gas engine. We walked a short way to a deck built out onto the weedy banks of Little Lake, adjacent to the museum. Not long after arriving, we were joined by some women who were waving to their friends in a kayak. The kayakers paddled over to the deck and tried to figure out how to get out of the small craft without getting wet. After some false starts, Gary gave them a hand and pulled the kayak ashore. Our next stop was Schoolhouse Beach on the south shore of Washington Harbor. It's remarkable for the smooth beach stones, making it a great place for swimmers. We walked along the beach enjoying people watching and watching the kids swim.
Oh yeah, Louisiana shipwreck?
Yeah.
Across the bay is the site where the steamship Louisiana sank. On November 8, 1913, it was caught in a tremendous storm with winds over 70 miles per hour when it went aground and burned. The remains of the hull are still in 10 to 25 feet of water near the shore and is a popular dive site. The next stop was Jackson Harbor. There's a ferry from there to Rock Island State Park, a short 10-minute ride. Jackson Harbor is a popular place for pleasure boats. The Jackson Harbor Maritime Museum is an interesting stop. It includes models of Washington Island ferries that have been used over the years. Outside, there's a Plum Island Coast Guard boat on display. Also outside is a Kahlenberg marine oil engine manufactured in Two Rivers, Wisconsin. In one of the buildings is a Model A with skis and tracks for snow. On the way back across the island, we stopped at the Buck Ridge Lighthouse, a stylized model lighthouse carved from a tree. and then we stopped for ice cream cones with eyes on them before heading back to Detroit Harbor and the ferry. We boarded the ferry Irabaki for the ride back to the mainland. The Irabaki was named after the village in Iceland where many of the Icelanders on Washington Island came from. We headed south out of Detroit Harbor past Detroit Island. Pilot Island is off to the east. The old fog signal building and Lighthouse are the only structures on it. In 1858, Pilot Island became the Port de Moore Light when the original light was moved there from Plum Island. We made it across Port de Moore Passage or Death's Door Passage back to the mainland at North Point. We had a great day on Washington Island. The weather was great, not too warm and not too cold. For more information about visiting Washington Island, check out these websites. For Jim the Western Traveler YouTube channel, this is Jim Osmundson. Thanks for watching.